From 1994 to 2004, the graph below shows data on energy generation in China by kind. It steadily grew from 600 in 1994 to 1500 in 2004 for conventional thermal. When we look at the hydropower, we can see that it was quite constant at roughly 100 during the time span. It has risen rapidly for the entire generation between the years of 900 and 2000, and from 1994 to 2004. To summarize, conventional thermal still accounts for the majority of China's energy generation. From the 21st to the 27th of April, the precipitation totals in Haiti and the Western Dominican Republic were shown on a line graph in mm/h. Until the 23rd of April, there has been no accumulation of rain. This rose throughout time, peaking on the 27th of April at 400 mm/h for the maximum and an average of 100 mm/h for the average. It was only on the 24th of April that the greatest total rainfall intensity reached at roughly 30 mm/h. On the 25th of April or 26, the average total rainfall intensity peaked at roughly 5 mm/h. As a whole, the amount of rain fell steadily rose. While the average rainfall total remained modest, the maximum rainfall intensity varied. There are 2016 Detroit dawn and sunset times depicted in the graph. According to the graph, the highest number of sunsets can be observed on the 29th of June at roughly 1912, which is around sunset. According to the graph, the second largest number is 1414 on the 19th of June, which is the second longest day of the year. The graph shows that on June the 9th, at roughly 4:48 a.m., the dawn timing is the shortest of any day in the year. The graph, in conclusion, is quite helpful. Over the last decade, there have been some troubling developments in metropolitan female education. The number of females who are illiterate has decreased from 442 in 1999 to 2000 to 373 in 2004-05. In 2009 to 10, it fell even more to 298. The number of females with finished elementary education was 174 in 1999 to 2000, rising to 203 in 2004-05 before falling to 193 in 2009 to 10. In the years 1999 to 2000, 2004-05, and 2009 to 10, however, the number of girls who successfully finished secondary education increased from 281 to 305 and then to 382. The pie graph depicts the hotel's income split across several customer segments. Most of the company's income comes from the higher up market, which includes 80 hotels with a total of 45,912 rooms. Other hotels account for 3% of the total, which consists of 11 properties with 2,604 rooms. The majority of hotel income is generated by higher-end properties, with lower-end properties accounting for the smallest share. These pie charts show the population of countries of the European Union in 198 and 2007 by percentage. In 1998, the other 21 countries in the EU had the largest population, at 29.4%. Poland had the smallest population, at 8%. In 2007, the other 21 countries once again had the largest population, at 29.7%. Poland again had the smallest population, at 7.7%. Overall, in both 1998 and 2007, the other countries in the EU had the largest population while Poland had the smallest. The above graph shows the serious crime rate in Cincinnati. In 2001, 26,000 crimes were registered. In the year 2002 and 2003, most of the crimes were registered. Though there was a decrease in registration of crime rate in the year 2004, 2005 and 2006, but they were almost equal to the crimes registered in the year 2001. The year 2007 and 2008 registration of the crime rate was the least. On an average, serious crime rate in Cincinnati was around 26,000 between the years 2001 to 2008. In the UK, this graph illustrates the distribution of income by age and gender. According to the graph, the biggest number of females may be seen between the ages of 30 and 34, which is around £20,000. The smallest group is under the age of 20, with a population of roughly 10,000. Males in the 50 to 54 age bracket account for around 28,000 of the total. There are about 20,000 people in the 70 to 74 age range, which is the smallest group. To summarize, the pre-tax median income of men is greater than the pre-tax median income of women. A fungus gnat's 28-day life cycle is depicted in this procedure. In 4 to 6 days, they transform from black eggs to larvae. It takes around a month and a half for the larva to mature into the pupa. The mature fungus gnats emerge after 3 to 6 days. It takes roughly 7 to 10 days for a hummingbird to complete its lifespan and begin the process again. An adult fungus gnat's life cycle includes 4 distinct phases. From 1945 through 2009, the data in this graph depicts the average tax rates paid by the wealthiest Americans. According to the graph, the biggest percentage of the top 0.01% may be found in 1945, about 60%. Only about 20% of the population was affected in 2005. According to the graph, the biggest percentage of the top 0.1% can be found in 1945, which is over 55%. In 1990, the lowest percentage was roughly 25%. As a final point, this graph displays the average tax rates for the wealthiest Americans. Maps of Australia's photosynthetic and non-photosynthetically active vegetation are shown. Although blue indicates non-photosynthetically active vegetation, green indicates photosynthetically active vegetation on northern and eastern beaches in Map A. Using the color red, Map B emphasizes the sparse vegetation in the center of the nation. The vast portion of the nation is covered in nothing but weeds and weeds. This graph shows the average GPA of students based on their academic majors, if not psychology. In terms of GPA, art majors have the highest at roughly 3.2, followed by math majors at around 3.15. The average GPA for English and history students is 2.93, but the GPAs for other majors are closer to 2.91. Art majors tend to have the highest GPAs, whereas history majors tend to have the lowest GPAs. The graph depicts the product life cycle for sales through time, as seen by the data points. The graph clearly shows that there is a significant rise from intro to growth. From growth to maturity, the graph shows that there is an increase. The graph shows that from maturity to decline, there is a drop in the rate of change. In the end, the most people may be found in their late 20s and 30s. This table shows the average amount of time newborns spend sleeping from the ages of 1 to 24 months. After 1 month, the average total sleep time reduced from 14 to 15 hours to just 13.2 hours at 24 months of age. In addition, 50% of newborns aged 1 month and 96% of babies aged 1 month and a half had 13 to 16 hours of sleep, respectively. But by the time they were 24 months old, just half of them were getting the 12th of March, 2014 hours of sleep, while the other 96% were getting 10.8-15.6 hours. Babies became less sleepy as they grew older, but they slept longer at night. There is a pie chart that shows the proportion of each activity. Pronunciation, intonation, vocabulary, and speaking tactics make about 15% of the total. 20% of the IELTS reading and questions require scanning and skimming methods. Spelling and grammar, vocabulary, essay structure, and describing charts make up 40% of writing. Finally, listening accounts for 15% of the spelling equation. Writing is the most common form of communication, whereas speaking and listening are the least common. Here is a bar graph showing how much water was used in England's homes in 2004. The bathroom used 28% of the water, followed by the garden at 27%. 10% was utilized in the kitchen and 15% in the bathroom. In terms of water use, the bathroom used the most and the kitchen used the least. In 1990 and 2000, the fertility rate of Gulf nations was compared using this bar graph, which shows the number of births per woman. In 1990, Oman had the highest fertility rate in the world, with a rate of 7 births per woman. In terms of births per woman, Saudi Arabia came in second with around 6.8. Bahrain and Kuwait, on the other hand, had the lowest fertility rates in the region, with about 3.5 children per woman. Oman and Saudi Arabia had the highest fertility rates in 2000, with each woman giving birth to around 5.5 children. There are an average of 2.5 births per woman in Bahrain. Compared to other Gulf Arab countries, Oman and Saudi Arabia had the highest per woman fertility rates in 1990 and 2000, while Bahrain had the lowest. In addition, the fertility rates of all the nations depicted in the graph decreased between 1990 and 2000. This pie chart displays various determinants of happiness. Genetic set point is the most significant determinant of happiness, at 50%. This is followed by intentional activities at 40%. Life circumstances is the least significant determinant of happiness, at only 10%. Overall, genetic set point is the biggest determinant of happiness while life circumstances is the smallest. This graph compares net coal generation from 1960 to 2010, in billions of MWH, with coal's fraction of overall generation, in percentage. Coal's percentage of overall generation has stayed largely stable during this period, but coal's net generation has continuously climbed. When it comes to total power generation, coal made up roughly 58% of the total between 1988 and 2009. At its peak in 2008, net coal generation was over 2 billion MWH, whereas at its lowest point in 1960, net coal output was just about 0.45 billion MWH. As a whole, coal accounted for the largest percentage of total electricity generation in 1988 and for the lowest percentage in 2009. Despite this, in 2008, coal generated the most net power, whereas coal generated the least net power in 1960. In 1998, adults in the United Kingdom spent a higher percentage of their income, 25%, on food than children did, 14%, 10%. Adult women, on the other hand, spend 40% more than their male counterparts, 14%. On average, children, 23%, and boys, 18%, spend more money on electronics than adults. Children, 39%, spend more money on music than adults, 14%, 5%. Adults spent more on meals, while children spent more on electronic equipment and music. For both adults and children, videotapes were the most disliked buying option.